Hi, welcome back and welcome to the second tutorial on creating the audience mindset. Now, if you remember in the first tutorial, we dealt with that key question, and I told you there were three key questions. Why am I here? Why should I listen? And how are you going to get me there? And we dealt with the first question and how to answer it of why am I here? In this second tutorial, we're going to look at this second question of why should I listen? And basically, I've divided it into two parts. Why should I listen part A and why should I listen part B? Part B will be in the next tutorial. This is the first step of it. Now, an audience, once they're there and they know what the descriptor is, they're then thinking, should I listen to this? Is this really going to be worth it for me? You know, should I really put effort or energy into listening to this, or should I just switch off? And that's why it's so important to try and answer that question very early on. Why should I listen? And not only that, if you get it right, it engages the audience from the heart as well as rationally. So you get emotional and rational engagement all at the same time. So how can we do this? If you remember in the first tutorial, I was using an example of telling you a story about the sea to do this. And I'm going to continue here and use that same example. And I'm going to continue on and try and answer that second question, why should I listen? So you can see what is the technique behind answering that. I'd like you to imagine it's evening time. Sea's very calm and beautiful. There's a lovely sandy beach coming back. Group of young people having a party around a fire. A young couple, boy and a girl, making eyes at each other. Girl invites him over and she runs off down towards the sea. Takes off her clothes, she's naked, dives into this wonderful still sea like a dolphin, swims out. The guy's a bit drunk, he doesn't actually make it into the sea. And she gets out and she turns around with one arm up, she waves back at him. And then she swims off. And imagine, you can almost see her caught in the moonlight from below. It's wonderful person doing the crawl across the surface of the water. That's it. Now what I've done there is I've done a bit of emotional gardening. I've thrown out some seeds because I'm not really sure who's in my audience, so I throw out some seeds of different things to try and bring them in. And if the descriptor, as I said in tutorial 1, creates that model that you start to imagine, what we do with this second part is we start to fill that with positive elements. And I'm sure it doesn't matter who you are, all of us would have liked to have had a romantic experience by the sea. Some of us may have had it, some of us would like to have had it. It doesn't matter how old or young we are. So what you begin to do as an audience is you begin to care about that beach and about those people. You begin to empathize with it and imagine how positive and great it is. What I've done is I've created the plane of happiness. So you have your descriptor, which is your model, and then you fill that with positives. There were no negatives in what I spoke about, and you create that plane of happiness, and the audience, you, begins to engage in it. You want to step inside and be there. Now, I was also using that example of Winston Churchill speaking at Winchester in Missouri. Let's look at what he did. After he put down his descriptor of the United States is at the pinnacle of world power, what does he then go on and say? He says something like this. He says, you as a country at the pinnacle of world power, you have a huge opportunity. You now have the opportunities to shape the future world. And you have the opportunities to build a set of values for everyone around peace and liberty within that world, I think he says something like from the smallest huts and cottages to the largest mansions and villas. And there are a few other things he throws in there as well, but immediately, for me as the audience, I'm in there. I'm thinking about, if I'm American and I'm a politician, I'm thinking about, yeah, we're there. We're at the power and we can shape it. And shape it in a very, very positive direction. So now, if you're thinking about your speeches and your meetings, you know you've got to come up with a descriptor After that, start to build the positive description around that descriptor to get your audience to empathize and care and to show what you care about when you're talking about that particular theme. So good luck. And I'm going to come back with a third tutorial, which is going to look at part B of answering this second question, because it's in two parts. Why should I listen? And also, what's the journey? We're going to put that together in that final tutorial. So good luck and see you soon.